Gary, how are you, sir?
Andrew, absolutely fabulous. We've made it to week 14.
We have indeed, Gary, and you're looking awful smart tonight. You got a shirt on rather than the usual t-shirt, Gary.
All my t-shirts are in the wash. I just wear them once a week. See, once you get beyond week 13, they've got to go in the wash.
Oh, is that how many t-shirts you've got, Gary? You've got
I probably
13.
get more. I've got some for doing some running, and they're in a drawer. I've got some un ones. Don't think they're appropriate to wear on the show. So I went to work the past couple of days as well, Andy, and dressed almost. Karen said to me, "You look as if you're going to a night out."
All right, okay.
It's just I've got all the good gears.
Open yet, Gary?
Well, we're talking about dancing. All the good gears sitting in the wardrobe or in drawers,
right,
and not getting used because there's nowhere to go, nowhere in formal gear to work. So I thought I'm going to start wearing my clothes. And I think that's reasonable.
That's better than wearing nothing to your work, Gary.
Can't say you going on the show like that tonight. So, well, nobody sees below the waist.
Ah, well, that's it. Well, listen, hello to everyone that's tuning in. Good to see you again. Week 14, as Gary mentioned, we're Paisley Community Chat Show. Still the #1 chat show in Paisley, Gary. How good is that?
Yeah, I seen on Mill Magazine mention us earlier.
Oh, did they? Right.
Paisley's longest running chat show.
They've got a good sense of humour at the Mill Magazine. Big shout out to those guys.
Winding us all up. But it's I've came to learn, speaking to some people about the chat show. I didn't realise that people actually cared about it and think it's such a good thing and have a place in their life for us. And I think it's all to do with the subject matter and the guests.
We're a regular feature on a Wednesday night, and you can watch us on Catch Up as well, Gary.
There's no point saying that now, Andy, because if people are watching it in Catch Up, they're saying, why are they saying we're watching it in Catch Up? Because we're already watching it in Catch Up.
Aye, that just gets me into a whole position and my brain doesn't handle, Gary. But we've got a few folks on social media already. We had the wonderful Drew Moyer. And he was on last week, Paisley Tango. That was a fantastic show, Gary, wasn't it?
Wasn't that great? My feet were tapping all night. But it's just, and I'm hoping that Caroline and Jackie and everyone that said they're going to join the tango are going to follow up on that and get right into it.
Absolutely. And then we had the Tom Urie video on, which blew up the internet, Gary, apparently.
Well, I had that affecting me. I don't know about the internet.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, that was
fantastic.
It was amazing. I'd seen it in dribs and drabs as it passes your eye line, and we've seen it in its entirety. What Tom done is just fantastic.
Absolutely astounding. So we've got a jam-packed show tonight, Gary, and before we do go on to the show, a couple of wee things to remind everybody of coming up or happening in Paisley. First of all, one for ourselves. And that is the designer logo competition.
Let's keep reminding people about that, Andy.
Absolutely. So just as a quick reminder for everyone, Pixels, Paisley, Cross La Scala, the brand new proposed community cinema, cafe, bar, restaurant and digital skills academy. Pixels is our proposal to regenerate the high street, and we're looking for someone or a group of people to design us a new logo or a very first logo. You can get all the details on paisleytrust.org or drop us a little mail or message on Facebook. So that's the first big news. And then the next big news, Gary, I was looking on Twitter earlier on and I spotted I spotted Creative Renfreshire's got a shout out right now, Gary, for Renfrewshire creatives. Did you see this earlier on?
That's interesting. I've seen something else somewhere else as well, Andy, in the Scotland Town partnership looking for it. So it's great that the debate's starting about where that money goes.
Absolutely. So a big shout out to anyone in Renfrewshire that's in the creative industries. The Scottish Government are putting £97 million in to support the arts and culture and heritage industries within Scotland. So how should that money be distributed? If you don't say, if you don't have a voice, then you might get missed out. So Creative Renfrewshire are running a session tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. No, it's not. It's the 11th of August, 6 p.m. It's free. Have your say. So make sure you do that. This was another one that caught my eye tonight, Gary. You've not seen any of these, but you'll be aware of that.
Yeah, that's the Chancellor acting like Frankie and Benny's.
That's right. You get a twofer. You get 50% off or 10 quid or whatever it is. But we've had a continual theme throughout our chat show programs about supporting local. Paisley First have got the Love Local, Love Paisley campaign. And whilst we start to get ourselves out of this COVID crisis, eat out locally to help out. Really important that if you can do that, you do that. There's some great incentives out there to support our local companies and businesses.
Andy, we should be really clear about that, because I was confused. I thought when that was announced that it was evening time only. And I was in Brew the other day, sitting in the tent, couple of coffees, cake. I didn't have a cake. Somebody had a cake. And because the person that I was with was late, I insisted that they buy it. So Paul, one of our trustees, actually, would go for a coffee. Insisted he bought it, and it came to a fiver.
A fiver.
Something all right there. He says, well, it's half price because of the deal. So daytime, just be really clear, daytime activities, if you're going to sit in any cafe, restaurant, in and around Paisley, sit in, you'll get it half price.
Get it half price.
Of course, if they're part of the scheme.
And you can go on the government website, stick in your postcode, and it'll tell you all the places locally that are there. So we really support that campaign. We really support the Paisley First campaign. And one last thing before we do very quickly get our first guest on, because we're doing something special tonight, is this one. This touched my heart, Gary. Did you see what happened to the railway down in Barshaw Park?
Yeah, that was unbelievable. We were walking past that the other night and seen the flames, and that said that they'd raised over £1,000, but that's unbelievable. What they've raised?
Well, they've already raised
£2,500.
They're trying to raise £2,500. Now I'm going to put this along the bottom. JustGiving.com crowdfunding. So, like me, when you were wee, you get taken to Barshaw Park for a day out, and you get a shot on the train. And it was just brilliant. And unfortunately, due to an act of vandalism, that train shed got set on fire along with the damage to the engines there. So they've got a crowdfunder going to try and raise some money to do it all themselves and get it all repaired. So just a shout out to the volunteers of one of our community groups that work hard in Paisley to give our kids and our adults some fun at Barshaw Park. So if you can spare a couple of quid, make sure you support that worthy cause.
Well spotted, Andy.
So that was it. So there we go, Gary.
Have you got the picture with the Get Into Paisley thing?
That one?
No. The T-shirts. Remember the T-shirts?
Oh, no, I've not got the T-shirts handy, but that's the theme of tonight's show, is it not, Gary?
Well, it's a link to the theme of tonight's show. So remember a few weeks ago, week 3, something like that. So it's so long ago, Andy. We modelled the Get Out, or Straight Out of Paisley T-shirt. Straight Out of Paisley. Me and Andy modelled them, and they went on to be the best seller. The best seller Straight Out of Paisley T-shirt, over 150 sold. Still on sale, actually. And raised the profile and raised all that money for St Mirren Charitable Foundation. We're so pleased to be able to do that. And so we've turned full circle tonight. Andy, what's the show about tonight?
Well, the show is Straight Into Paisley. So we were talking about straight out of Paisley, but straight into Paisley. And of course, there's lots of people who are born and raised in the town, but there are people who have chosen to make Paisley their hometown. So we wanted to, shed some light on people who've came to Paisley, people who have decided to stay in Paisley. And it was actually the idea of one of our own trustees, one of our own imports into Paisley. And we're going to get Helena on now because Helena is doing a cook-along tonight. So I'm going to bring Helena on screen right now. So hold on a second. There we go.
Oh my goodness.
Helena.
Hi guys.
I think you've got my mind boggling now.
The family with me.
I'm thinking ingredients here.
Oh,
not
Sarah,
eating
chicken.
we're having cat tonight.
It's meant to be chicken.
I thought that was on the menu there for a moment.
It is. I like my ingredients fresh.
Oh, goodness sake. Helena, you're looking wonderful as always.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. I can't actually see the screen.
We're looking great. We're looking great as well.
Okay, that's all I need to know, boys.
Well, listen, Helena, you're one of the trustees of Paisley Community Trust, but you're also one of our favourite imports into the town. You've came here, you've settled here, you've got your own business interest in the town, and of course, tonight you're going to be doing a live cook-along session, which we're going to be coming to in about 15 minutes after our next guest. But tell us a little about yourself and what we should expect tonight.
Okay, well, tonight I'm wearing two hats. One is great to be part of the Paisley Community Trust and be a trustee on the board with you guys and to come on to chat show number 14. The other hat I'm wearing is I'm a traveling chef demonstrator. So what I do is, if you can hear all the noises, this is a working household. It's full of children and it's full of one kitten. So if you hear any background noises, I'm really sorry.
That's all right.
I do cookery demonstrations, I do small group private dining, I do supper clubs. So anything short of running a restaurant, really, I don't have premises. So tonight I am going to cook a Chinese takeaway for you, even though you've just said go and eat out, but we're not talking carry out. You can make it at home, and you know, we're going to have cashew nut chicken. And in a few moments, I'm going to hand the cat over. Thank you, Billy. And I'm going to show you how to marinate it. I know some of you are cooking along with me, so good for you. But if you're not, I'm just going to show you how easy it is to create Chinese takeaway or Chinese restaurant style dishes at home. So let me quickly wash my hands to show you this COVID time.
No problem at all.
Was that meant to happen, Andy?
Oh no, she'll be back.
She's
just temporarily frozen. Oh, we can almost hear you. This is the perils of trying a new technology.
Yeah, you're back, Helena.
Pardon?
You had disappeared there for a moment. On you go.
Oh, there we go. So I've got here chicken breast that I've pre-cubed. I've made it slightly smaller tonight because I wanted to cook a little bit quicker. But the thing is, whatever size you want it, just make sure they're as even as possible so that they'll cook all together at the same time. I've got all my ingredients here. So we start, and the recipe is online. We start with 2 teaspoons of light soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of dark soy sauce. Mrs. Campbell, I hope you're following. 2 teaspoons of oyster sauce. And you can get all these ingredients in Morrison's, around the corner from us. I'm not actually, sorry, I shouldn't actually endorse any supermarket in particular. I just meant all the good local supermarkets.
Other supermarkets are available.
Sponsorship opportunity.
That's the one. A few drops of sesame oil. And this was the one that I thought might flummox some of our viewers. It's Shaoxing rice wine. That's what it says on the label. And it's quite smoky. It gives it the dish a bit of depth. If you can't get this, you can replace it with dry white sherry, or you can just omit it altogether. Yeah, and then there's a lot of salt that's gone in there, and this is just to create that fifth flavor. I'm just going to put a teaspoon of sugar in, and that's just to knock the edge off the saltiness to create a more balanced dish. And this, pass it over. And that's coating when you've come to fry the chicken, and it makes sure that it helps that the chicken, it will stop it from drying out too much. So that will marinate away nicely until you guys put me back on to cook. I've got 75 grams of cashew nuts here, and I've chopped some garlic and spring onions. So all of that is waiting for you. When you're ready, I'll be back cooking it.
When we're ready and coming back, and just whilst we've got you kind of off screen right now, maybe check your Wi-Fi or your phone connection to the internet. It's a little bit choppy, Helena. We managed to see it and it looks delicious already, but if you maybe just check that connection when we come back for the cooking session, hopefully we'll have a good fix on you. Okay.
Thanks.
See you in about 15 minutes, Helena.
Guys, see
See
you
you in
later.
15 minutes.
See you soon. Hey, that looked quite nice, that, Andy.
That looked fantastic, Gary. I've not had my tea yet. I've got
I know
my
what
cup
you're
of
having.
tea,
I
but
know
I've
what
not
you're
had
having
my
tonight.
tea yet. My dinner.
I think you're having chicken with
Do
cashew.
you think so, Jay? I'm having cook along Helena.
Oh,
I did
definitely.
get a fright there. I thought cat was on the menu for a moment there. I was a wee bit worried. I thought that wasn't on the script, Gary.
That was a scare.
I think we recovered from that one nicely. But hopefully Helena can get our internet connection a little bit sorted, and then we'll take
That was
it from there.
Helena.
So, Gary,
That was
the
Helena
rest
as
of
her
the
best Bond.
show.
She was the best Bond villain there. A Doctor No moment. She goes, hey,
Exactly.
Mr. Bond. Anyway.
The rest of the show, Gary, what we got on and who we got coming up next, Gary?
So in the theme of welcoming not visitors, the Paisley buddies now, people have decided to make their home here and make their business here and to have an impact in the environment that we live in, and we want to make them very welcome, and they are very welcome. So Dominica, our first guest, is a very, very talented, renowned artist and has other things that she does. And George is coming on a wee bit later on to talk about his Jambo radio station.
Jambo Radio.
Which is pretty interesting. I've done a wee bit of research on it and what they do and their reach. And George's background is astounding and the things he's done in his life.
Oh,
so it's great to welcome all of these people to our show. We could have loads and loads of shows about.
We could have. So let's
people that are not from here.
Chose to make Paisley their home. So waiting in the wings, Gary, we've got Dominica. So I'm going to bring her on right now.
Okay.
Dominica, how are you?
Dominica?
I'm very, very good. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah.
Dominica, welcome to the show. I don't need to say welcome to Paisley because I know you've been here a while.
Yeah, it's been 10 years now.
Wow. And how's your chicken dicing skills?
Definitely not as good as Helena's.
Now,
I wanted to say, Andy, I love your cap.
Oh, you love my what? Sorry.
Your cap with NASA.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. It's all space in this house, to be quite honest.
You've got them off and running now, Dominica. This is a totally different show now.
Oh, I know, absolutely. We'll start talking about the space sector and everything. But listen,
I don't mind.
Dominica, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And obviously the theme for tonight is straight into Paisley. And you came to Paisley so many years ago. It'd be great to just get a little bit of an overview of your background, where you're from originally, what brought you to Paisley, and what you've fallen in love with whilst you've been here.
So first of all, thank you so much for having me. I will gladly share my part of the story and how much Paisley changed actually my life and was the place where a new beginning of my artistic career started. But to go back and to introduce myself a little bit better, I was born in Poland. 15 years ago, I decided to leave Poland for various reasons, mainly because I couldn't pursue with my artistic career over there. And I moved to Manchester, and I was living there for 5 years. And I met. Sorry, that's my dog, Mia.
That's okay. Dogs are welcome. We're already.
Michalina. And she wanted to have her own say. And I met my then husband, who was living close by, and he was actually living in Stirling, but he told me, you pick the flat, you pick the place, location around this area. And I intuitively picked Paisley. And then I realized, I didn't realize that Paisley was a pattern, was a symbol, right?
Yeah.
And believe me or not, when I was in high school, that was actually one of my favorite symbols that I would have on my clothes or some scars. So when I realized that this is Paisley, I knew this is the place for me to be. Michalina, oi! Sorry. So I moved to Paisley, and at that time I was still working for a company that was based in Manchester. It was an office job that I was very lucky that I could work from home, remotely from home. And especially that when I gave birth to my son, it was very convenient for me to work from home and look after my child. And then within my whole body, I could feel that a massive change is coming to my life. I didn't really paint for like 10 years because I lost probably the belief that I can achieve something in a different country, amongst different people, different language, different culture. I just didn't believe in myself enough. And suddenly, when my son was only one, my job position has been I was basically made redundant. I was no longer as a remote worker. They gave me an ultimatum: you either come back to Manchester or you will have to just resign. So I had to resign because I already had a house, I had my child, my husband had a very good job. And at that moment, I thought, what am I going to do with myself? I mean, I was completely sure.
You thought what?
I didn't say nothing. I said nothing. Sometimes I swear, well, who doesn't? And that was the moment when I actually said it, So my son was one, and I knew that if I'm going to go and find another office job, I will probably get it because I had loads of experience. But at the same time, I would have to send my son to nursery, and I wasn't really ready for the nursery to raise my child. So I thought the only other thing I can actually do is paint. But you know what? I was scared. I was so scared because I didn't do it for like 10 years. And again, I was in a different country and everything was so new. I knew that the art market was, filled with so many huge talents. But you know what? I was looking at my 1-year-old son and he gave me this motivation. And I said, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do my best and I'm going to do it. So we created my studio in a garden shed. For the first years I've been working in the garden. But hey, the most talented and, innovative people been starting either in a garage or a shed. So I was, thinking, it's okay. And you know what? It just felt that I was at the right place at the right time because I received so much support. Hi, Jackie. I received so much support. All the right people came to my life who gave me opportunity to exhibit my art. I got placed in Incube. I was the first lot, the first group of, Incubees at High Street. I received a lot of support there when it comes to creating and working on your business. I was working with Business Gateway with Charlie Fraser, who was the most amazing advisor, and he actually believed in me because, you know what, when you actually create a business, a limited company that actually is selling art, it's tricky. It's very difficult, but he was the one that when I had doubts, he would tell me, no, Dom, you can do it. And he's amazing person, until now. I mean, I have so much gratitude for all the people that came to my life, so much gratitude for the University of West Scotland, to Craig, to Helena, because they gave me the opportunity to do very big, large exhibition at UWS. I was very fortunate because I could work with their multimedia team who helped me to create the VR painting, at the last solo exhibition. So I can honestly just say that I was a very lucky and fortunate girl, and I'm so happy that everything happened for me in Paisley.
Oh, fantastic!
That's good to hear. But talent and the cream rises to the top, Dominica, and there's no doubting the talent that you have, and as you know, as I've told you, I've followed the things that you've done and the paintings that you've created, and they're not just simple paintings. They're absolutely stunning. The work that you produce is stunning, and you should be so proud of yourself.
I am proud, and you know what? I'm learning to actually value my talent more and more. And the reason for that, we are constantly changing and we are constantly learning. And I have to admit, but it's good to sometimes admit to your faults, that at some point I was creating those paintings, but I didn't really see as much value in them. To me, it was just normal. And throughout the experiences of the last year, I actually learned that, you know what, Dominica, you have so much to be grateful for when it also comes to your talent, because you are sharing not only a picture, with people, but you are sharing the creative process, because finished painting, it's not just a painting, that's just a picture on the wall. It contains all the emotion, the process, all the energy that I implement into those paintings, this vibration. And this is, see, when it comes to feminine and masculine energies that we all have within us, when they are perfectly in balance and the creation begin, every creation is a miracle. I've learned recently that every creation is a miracle. When a man meets a woman and they are empowered, feminine, masculine, and they create life, it's exactly the same miracle as you becoming the creator yourself, and you create, in a way, a miracle. You become this powerful creator. So I've learned a lot, and I have to say that finally I start to see the value within my talent, and I look at my paintings differently. So I had an amazing,
Yeah, I was just going to say, in that story about self-doubt, I mean, a lot of really talented people, whether they're singers or whether they're artists or whatever it might be, they go through a period of self-doubt where they don't think they have the capability to be first class or do what they want to do as a career. But clearly, with encouragement and with enthusiasm behind you, Dominica, you've been able to, produce your artwork and have a living and be recognized as such a talented artist. It's great to hear. One of the images that I liked that Gary picked out earlier on, but it's on a theme, I'll bring it up here right now, is Madonna. And I understand Madonna features quite a lot in some of your artwork there, Dominica. Is that correct? And why Madonna?
She owns this particular painting that you just shown.
This one?
And this one, that's in her home in New York. Yes.
Oh wow. And you're a huge fan of Madonna, and you paint her quite often, or her face appears in many.
Yes, you know what? I have to say that she's a very strong personality, right? She is the pop icon, and she can inspire you, encourage you on so many levels. As a woman, as a mother, as a singer, as a creator, artist, as a book writer, she's got so much to give. And the early. Thank you so much, Max. The early inspiration with Madonna started when I was just starting my Academy of Fine Arts, because I just needed encouragement. It was a new journey for me. It was quite challenging, and to listen to her music was giving me this kick in my backside. If I thought I can't do it, I listened to her music and I knew I can. And then when I became the full-time artist, here in Paisley, when I was working in my shed, I needed that encouragement. And believe me or not, I could be tired. I could have maybe only 3-4 hours of sleep because my son was still little, at night.
Yep.
But when I went into my shed and I put her music on, I was like in a trance, and I could create and create and create. Thank you, Helena. So she inspired me on many, many levels. And then, yes, I did paint her, it was like a tribute from me to her, thanking her for the inspiration. And then when I find out that she's coming to Glasgow, before, whenever she had any gigs around the world, I could never afford the tickets, And when I find out that she's coming to Glasgow, my husband actually made a surprise for me, and he bought me a ticket. And I thought, you know what, having this opportunity to actually go to her gig, there's no way I'm letting this go. I need to get in touch with her. I decided to paint her, to contact Madonna. Basically, it's quite difficult, right? Because I don't know how many hundreds of tweets I did. I contacted all the friends. I've been very fortunate because I've been in a very regular communication with Chesney Hawkes, the one that sang The One and Only.
Yeah, the one and only. I was going to say that.
So Chesney was even trying for me to get into, some funnels, how can I get to Madonna? And eventually I contacted Bob, who was then the Chamber of Commerce, and he contacted the Hydro. And Hydro promised that they will get in touch with her production team or something like that. And they promised, but nothing happened. And I went to the gig. I thought I lost, that I will never be able to thank her and show her the art that I did for her. But inside of me, something was telling me, this is not over yet, Tom. There's another way you can do it. So the last thing I did was, you know what, I'm just going to contact her agent. She will probably reply maybe after 2-3 years, but I'm
Yeah.
going to do it. At least I know I did everything. So I sent an email to Johan and I explained everything in this email, you know, what happened with Hydro, with everything else.
Yeah.
And 3 days later, I'm getting a reply with apologies that they are replying so late. And she said, because I attached the picture of this painting, and she said to me that Madonna have seen the picture and she
Okay.
absolutely loves the painting, and they asked me if I could, but there is a problem because she will be traveling in Europe.
Uh-huh.
No, sorry, it is a problem because she's not coming back to Europe until March, and that I think was November. And if I wouldn't mind to ask my gallery to post it to New York. So
Wow.
that was basically it. And then I received an email that she wishes me to keep expressing myself through art. And then I received another one once the painting was received in her home in New York. So it
Oh,
was,
that's
it
a
was,
fantastic story, and it's such
Dominica,
a wonderful image.
that story is inspiring on every level.
I
About
wanted just to say something, you know, maybe that will, I just feel I should say that. Very often when it comes to celebrities, we think that they are bigger or better. What I've learned over the years is that we are all the same. We are just humans. So if you have this desire within your heart that you would like to follow some kind of dream or vision, do not see yourself as someone less. Just go there with your heart. If you have a pure intention and it comes from your heart, it will reach the right destination. Don't be scared of big dreams. Always dream big. And I would encourage every artist at any stage, if you do have this kind of dreams, just follow them.
Well,
Just follow them, because you will
love
regret
it,
if you don't.
love it,
Dominica, that is
Dominica.
a wonderful message, and it's a great message to end this section on. What I'm going to do now, Dominica, I'm going to ask you to just stay in the black and white room, because
Okay,
we'd like to
I
have
will
you
say
back.
goodbye and thank you, because I
But
need
if
to
you,
take my
yeah,
son.
no, oh, if you need to go, that's fine. No
Yes.
problem at all,
But
Dominica.
thank
Dominica,
you so much.
thank
Have
you
a
for coming
lovely,
on.
blessed evening. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Lovely.
you so
Thank you,
much.
Dominica.
Brilliant. Thank you. Wow, wasn't she brilliant? Well, such energy from Dominica.
Oh, Andy, that story in every level. I know what it's like trying to reach out to your heroes
Yeah,
and to get to your heroes, and for that level of interaction with someone that she has got so much respect for and is inspired by is an amazing thing to happen.
Just
Never
brilliant. So
mind
many.
that it should have been accepted anyway, because wow, look at this painting.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and so many great comments coming in. You know, inspired by her. That was just a big whack of inspiration right there from Dominica. Thank you so much for Dominica. We're now going to go over live, Gary.
Yeah, I want to put up after Helena. I want to
Uh-huh.
put up the other painting that I picked, Andy, because it's one of my favourite images.
Is that the football related one,
The
Gary?
footballer guy is
Right.
stunning, and it's something slightly different for Dominica.
Aye, we'll come back. Definitely come back to that. Don't let me forget, Gary. But we're going to go live to Hell's Heavenly Kitchen. Hello.
Hello. Hopefully, we've sorted the Wi-Fi.
Oh,
You sound
fantastic.
really clear, Helena.
That's good. Everything works until technology fails us. And where does that leave us, especially in this day and age? So,
Well, listen, Helena, what we're going to do is we're going to put you full screen. Myself and Gary will still be able to watch, and we'll chip in our tuppence worth, but we're going to hand over to you. All right.
okay.
There
Right,
you go.
if you hear the gurgling, it's the dishwasher going. My husband was trying to be very helpful, and he loaded everything up and cleaned everything up after dinner. But actually, it just makes it sound quite chaotic here.
Oh, we can hear perfectly. Don't worry.
Okay,
Oh, the cooker's on.
I've been heating up about a tablespoon of oil. People quite often ask me, do I use any special oils for cooking Chinese food? Well, most chefs will tell you to use peanut oil. I can't do that because my human tripod 19-year-old daughter who's holding the phone tonight actually has a nut allergy. So I just use either vegetable oil, or tonight I'm using olive oil.
Oh, good stuff.
What goes in there first?
I remember her for Popeye.
1 clove of garlic. Can you hear the sizzle?
Oh, yeah.
So how hot should that pan be, Helena?
I would say about 180 degrees, but I'm going to teach you a trick that's like grandmother's tale. Don't get health and safety involved. I put my hand over there. You can feel the heat coming on that.
Yeah.
It's hot enough. If you can't feel any heat, it's stone cold. And what you're going to do is you're just going to boil the garlic in cold oil.
That's a very practical tip.
Yeah. And you can see it just literally takes minutes and the garlic's starting to brown. It's not a minute, it's seconds. So you stick the chicken in.
Oh, wow.
And you want to give it a good toss about. And then I tend
Helena, I can smell that from here.
You smell that? I can smell it. I've got a full audience here. The 17-year-old's nodding his head. He's going to be the official taster.
All right, okay. You've got some hungry folk waiting to sample.
Absolutely. So when you have a professional kitchen in a restaurant, you'll have very big industrial flames, and this could just cook in literally minutes. Obviously, working from a home kitchen with just a domestic cooker, you just need to give it a little bit more time. But they're still not very long.
So one thing I was going to ask Helena, can you swap chicken out for anything and it's just the same?
You can, but you'll just need to adjust the cooking time. So, for example, if you wanted to do prawns or seafood, that would cook at a different rate.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really make this dish with beef, or perhaps you can do pork. A nice pleasure pork would work.
So white meat then.
I didn't hear that.
White meat.
Yes, white meat.
Yeah.
And not fish, because that's just going to fall apart. Because you can see all the rough handling and really giving it a good stir fry.
Yeah. I was going to ask, I'm quite interested in the utensils you're using. We've got a couple of wooden spoons in the house and old-fashioned Scots. Is that okay?
That's absolutely fine. I just, I knew I was going to be on air, so I just wanted to make it look pretty. And I just think two-handle frying saves me having to lift the wok and toss, because I will lose the heat because I haven't got that big industrial flame. So the chicken, actually, we should have been timing this. It's nearly cooked. At this stage, I put toasted cashew nuts in there. You could also use peanuts.
So if you don't have cashew nuts, you can use peanuts then.
Absolutely.
As long as you don't have an allergy.
The kung po chicken, that classic dish. And
It's not KP peanuts, Helena. It's not KP peanuts with salt on them.
That's fine. Honestly,
Really?
Don't be frightened of food. Just go for it.
Wow.
It's a bit like Dominica talking about how we're frightened of celebrities because we think they're bigger than us. Sometimes we're also frightened of food because we think it's complex, but food doesn't have to be complex. So here's one I made earlier.
Helena.
And is that just served with rice then, Helena?
I'm suggesting that we serve it just with rice.
Just plain boiled rice.
Plain boiled rice. I mean, if you wanted to have egg fried rice, that's fine as well. But personally, I just think that would get in the way of the full flavors. And this is quite a full-bodied dish. All the flavors are in there.
Well, I'm having some of that. I'm having some of that.
That looks fantastic.
A little taster. Hang on, I've got mine. I'll see who comes.
Craig!
Here, Gary, you need one of them for the chat show. A little bell when we finish your sections.
Is a bell more acceptable than a buzzer?
He's got a buzzer, hasn't he? No?
I quite like the bell.
People are being camera shy. Hang on. Let's do this. You're out of camera. Here.
We've got a question from Claire. She's asking, does she add salt?
No salt, because the sauces have got plenty of salt in them.
The soy sauce, right?
Yeah.
I've got
only at the marinade. Did you know? You seen it at the marinade stage? You had salt in there, wee bit of sugar.
Right. There was some, were you not paying attention, Claire? There was some salt in there. There was some sugar in there.
There was no salt in there. The salt is actually in the sauces.
It's in the sauces.
Yes.
So it was the soy sauce then. That's really salty.
That's really salty. So no, you don't want to be adding salt. And the worst thing you could possibly do to offend a Chinese cook when you're invited, say, around to eat, is to reach out for the salt pot even before you taste the food.
Okay.
Chinese food We season it, we marinate it, we add the flavorings while we're cooking it, but it's all there.
Yeah,
I
that's
need
quite.
to remember that.
That's quite a habit in the west of Scotland. My mother used to
I
do
know
that.
it is. Straight
Before-
into Paisley.
Oh, I'm a salt guy. No matter what happens.
There's plenty of salt in this, I can tell you.
It's for
So-
medicinal reasons.
So, Helena, tell us a little bit about Hell's Heavenly Kitchen, because you've got some Facebook presence and some Instagram presence. Tell us a little bit about what you've got going on there.
Okay, it actually started out as a hobby, and now I've just turned it into a professional hobby, something I fit in between my consultancy business, my charity work, and raising a family and all that jazz. So it's mainly, I would call it a food blog, and I would call myself a recipe creator. So I'm just trying to bring the tastes and flavors of Asia to the west of Scotland and beyond. And it's not limited just to the west of Scotland. I mean, you cross my palm with silver, I'll come and cook for you wherever you may be.
And am I correct in saying it's fairly accessible cooking? I mean, what we saw there, Helena, look, fairly easy to get the ingredients, fairly easy to put together, and fairly easy to produce. So it's not too difficult.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Sometimes, I do make more complex dishes, perhaps like doing supper clubs. And so it's not so much. So it depends on the event. So the supper clubs, I'll make something more complex because I want to share those flavors with my audience. But when it comes to recipe shares and cookery demonstrations, it tends to be dishes that you can make at home. And like I said, so I want to bring this message of, I suppose I want to make it authentic, as authentic as you would find in an Asian household, but also accessible so that people can enjoy this food at home too.
And that was so quick, Helena. It was just really, really easy, quick.
Absolutely. And I tell you, it's a family favorite. It's delicious. Okay.
Well, hold on a second.
We don't give the nuts to the...
Hold on a second, Helena. Hold on a second.
No.
Absolutely. Look, I've got Gary.
Oh, come in, that's cheating.
Oh, I've got a glass of wine here.
You got some wine? What else you got?
Oh, come on in. Come
you got cashew chicken there? Cashew chicken.
Oh, it's roasting. It's roasting. Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, Helena.
I'm going to need
the
to.
camera back to the front. Hang on, guys. We're just flipping.
My God.
Let me just do this. Hold on a second, see if this works. There we go.
Oh, look at that. Andy, I'll do the next bit of the show myself, will I? How you stuff your face. Goodness sake.
We lost Helena. Right. Well,
no, sorry. We're flipping the camera. I wanted to see the dish. I'm even going to put on my reading glasses. If I can find
you need to watch it. You need to watch it back.
Right. Are you looking, Helena?
I am looking. Whoa. Well done, Claire.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to having that. Gary, so listen, without further ado, Helena, are you sticking with us while we get our next guest on?
I'm happy to, if you feel this connection's stable enough.
Yeah, it seems to be all right. We'll get our next guest on, and we'll take it from there for sure.
Andy, you want me to hang out? Andy, you want me to hang about?
You hang about, Gary.
Is this a private party?
You know what? We could really make Gary feel bad because I could start eating too.
Well, listen, let's get our next guest on without further ado, because he's going to be starving.
Can you hear that, Andy? Can you hear that feedback? George, what do you think?
I'm the saliva in my mouth now. I want to eat. I just want to eat. Wonderful.
I rang the bell.
That was delicious.
Welcome to the show, George. Welcome to.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Andy.
Oh, you're welcome, George.
Introduced to Helena, George, Helena.
Hi, Helena.
Hi, George.
Good, fantastic cooking there. I try to cook at times, but I can tell you that looks much better than anything I try.
Well, I'd like you to try it. The recipe's on the Community Trust page.
Definitely, yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
We'll get that plugged again later on, and Andy can tell us what it tastes like as he sits himself there eating away. I'll take this part of the show on.
You go for it, Gary.
Yeah, I'll take this part of the show on. I'll get down to get my tea and my Ritz tea biscuit to duke into it.
I've got a string of teenagers coming in to eat it now.
Yeah. So George, this is your slot. This is mine and yours. Okay. So
Yes, Gary.
me and you
Thank
just
you
have
so
a
much.
chat. So George, it's great to have you on the show. I noticed a few weeks ago in the paper and in social media this brilliant thing called Jambo Radio, and I was really interested in it. I wanted to know more. And I thought, let's get the guy that runs it onto our chat show. George, tell us a bit about yourself, a bit about your background, and how you ended up in this area. I know you're not living in Paisley, but you're broadcasting to the area. Tell us all about yourself, George, and what you've ended up doing in the town.
Right. Okay. I am originally from Cameroon. I moved here. I moved to Scotland some 17 years ago. Coming up to 18, and it was a lot of adventure, Gary. But so I lived in Edinburgh, studied there in Mile of Adventure, and ended up in Glasgow when I got the opportunity to train at the BBC. Back in Cameroon, I've always wanted to be in broadcasting, but because I was when I left high school, the system in Cameroon is when you leave high school, you go on to university. I think it's the same thing. Yeah, you move on to university. But at that time, my parents wanted to send me to an uncle who lived in another country, in Nigeria, neighboring Nigeria. And
George,
so
can I interrupt just for a minute? I don't know much about Cameroon, and I bet you get the same reaction from all the Scottish guys that you chat with. And I bet you they all ask you about Roger Miller.
Yes. I'm tired of that. And I know that a lot of people ask me about Roger Miller, and Cameroon basically is in it's a West Central African country. And the uniqueness with Cameroon as well is it's the only African country that is bilingual, that has two official languages, French and English. So we neighboring Nigeria is basically walk from some villages in Cameroon to go across to Nigeria, and Equatorial Guinea also nearby. So we kind of really a bit central and a bit west of Africa. That's why we're close to Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea and Central African Republic. Now Cameroon, became really known, as you mentioned, Gary, in football in 1990s when we beat the almighty Argentina. I was about 13, 14 then. I can tell I never slept for a week. The joy of beating Maradona, it wasn't even Argentina, it was Maradona. That's it.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing to bring the country to the forefront, actually, and I suppose that's in the forefront of all Scots. Because did you get pipped at the post just by England? Did you beat England in the quarterfinals? I know we're going off at a tangent, Andy, but I'm allowed. This is my slot.
I thought it was a football-related conversation. I know nothing about football, so go for it, George.
No, I can tell you, I'm not a big football man, but I can follow Gary's conversation. I've got him correct. So we got beaten by England then. Cameroon is known as Africa in miniature. Basically, the way you describe Cameroon is everything that is happening in every other country in Africa is present in Cameroon. So culturally, every other tradition that is in any other part in Africa. So that's how Cameroon is known as. So back to when I moved here, I lived in Edinburgh, started studying in Edinburgh in high school, and then got a placement to come and train at the BBC in Scotland, which was quite good, fascinating stuff. That's where I always wanted to be. So I started that training and fell in love with Glasgow. Started off in Glasgow because I've moved over from Cameroon with a bit of DJ background, nightclub DJ background. So I got a gig in Glasgow, started DJing there, Tiger and all of that. Just loved the nightlife in Glasgow. Didn't have much connection in Paisley. So when my career in broadcasting kind of, developed a bit more, I got a job in England, moved down there to join the BBC World Service Productions, and later on joined a Pan-African channel, which I was basically traveling most of Africa, and then back, in London, between London and Africa, most of the countries there. So when I got tired of the rat race in London, I thought, like, Scotland is my home, but where am I going to go to Scotland? I don't want to stay in any city any longer. I'm going to move back to Scotland. But I've heard of a place they call, Renfrew. So because I have a lot of friends that live in Paisley, and I've visited them quite a few times. So it looks like a small, nice, quiet town. No, not much going on there, like compared to cities. And I thought, like, okay, I'll move closer there. I was actually looking for a place to live in Paisley town, because I thought, okay, that would be, at least you can't just move from a city to a very quiet place, so it was difficult. In the course of that as well, I had decided that I'm going to stop going up and down, and I'm going to get married, and I need to settle down. So when my wife was moving in, and I said, okay, right, I'm not going to take any job that I'm going to let me travel. I'm going to try and make a home. And trust me, Renfrew has been where I've been living for the past 7 years. So I've never lived in any place like that.
What a fantastic journey, George. And of course, Jambo Radio is a relatively new thing that you've set up. So tell us all about that, and who's your audience, and what the channel or station rather shows.
Yeah. So Jambo Radio, it basically came in conception. It's kind of a dream that I've had, but it was just like you needed the right moment for it to happen. I and a friend of mine, a younger friend of mine, we used to do a podcast, a weekly podcast, which we talk about things happening, health issues, employment issues, training opportunity, career issues. For the, we share that on WhatsApp groups that we are connected to the Afro-Caribbean communities in people all over Glasgow, Renfrewshire, and other cities. Even Edinburgh, we've got groups there. So we kind of connected to that. We said, okay, we'll use that. We kind of share our podcast with this group. I will get some good feedback. So when the outbreak of the coronavirus came in, we noticed that there was a lot of confusion about what's really happening within these groups. And we were getting messages, are you not going to talk about corona? We don't have any scientific knowledge of what corona is. So we're not able to talk about that. And there's a lot of confusion. And these groups, I should say, is made up of different age groups. So it's not like young people or, perhaps older people than me that are also involved in this group. And most of us, English isn't our first language. So, and some of us don't really consume mainstream media, like reading the newspapers. And if I didn't have a background in broadcasting, I don't think I would be reading a lot of newspapers. Because we communicate in so many different languages with each other. I speak 3 languages. I can meet up with Andy today, and I was talking in another language, and then Gary the next day I'm talking something another language. So it's that kind of way the community is made up. So we realize that because of the misinformation that people are getting about COVID-19, I think it's very important that there's a platform that exists for them to understand, and we should use the languages that they can best understand. And that's how Jambo Radio came into play. So it's basically for the Afro-Caribbean community. We broadcast in 8 languages.
Yeah,
wow.
That's really interesting, George. It's 8 languages, but what does Jambo actually mean?
Okay, Jambo simply means hello in Swahili. Yeah, which is an African language. It's one of the most spoken African languages. It is spoken in East Africa, which is Kenya, Tanzania, part of Congo. So it's millions of people that speak Swahili. So we're using these 8 languages as just the languages that are mostly commonly spoken by people of Afro-Caribbean heritage. You know, and there's millions of people that speaks that.
Yep. And how can people tune in? Where do people access the radio station?
Right now, we're based online only. We're there, www.jamboradio.co.uk. So we're working on getting a mobile app. And hopefully we should have a mobile app soon, and we see how things progress from there. But we've just started. We came in as I said, at the peak of COVID-19. That was just back in April. We actually made this mini launch in June, so we're up and running. It's quite impressive, and we're getting quite a lot of audience, especially in Renfrewshire, where we have 5 out of our 20 volunteers are based in Renfrewshire, in Johnston, in Renfrew, myself in Renfrew. I've got 2 other people and then a couple of other people in Paisley. So we basically, the stories that we bring in these different languages are things that we're actually living it, the lived experience. We are not trying to bring out stories that we take from elsewhere.
Oh, wonderful.
That's great to hear that service is being provided and that you're providing that service, George. Well done.
Thank you, Gary.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you guys.
Helena, are you going to be tuning into Jambo Radio, do you think, Helena?
I'm going to go and check it out for sure.
Fantastic. No, it's been great to have you on, George. And I think from our point of view, tonight's show was inspired by Helena, who talked about the people that come in and make Paisley and make Renfrewshire their home, and an outsider's perspective. And it'd be great to hear from both of you, because both myself and Gary are born and raised in Paisley, and we have a certain view of the town, I guess. But it'd be great to hear from you before we finish off. It'd be great to hear from you what you see of Paisley and where perhaps you see the potential, the good stuff going. So maybe, Helen, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, well, I've been in Paisley for 7 years now. The biggest challenge was getting to understand what the locals were actually saying to me. And funnily enough, getting myself understood by the locals too. I don't think I'm that difficult to understand, but I think what they were expecting was either a very Scottish accent or something else. So, there's been a loss in translation moment. Paisley for me, the people make Paisley for me, the warmth that we've been greeted with. We've been welcomed into the community. I volunteer down in Paisley Abbey in the gift shop. And, it's just wonderful working with the people of Paisley. And of course, it's rich cultural heritage. The amount of creative talent in Paisley in the west of Scotland is astounding. Both my husband and I are not from Paisley, and we're constantly astounded and impressed by that. So, being part of PCT, if we can build on those strengths and, make Paisley, dare I say, great again. Fantastic.
Oh, that's great to hear. And George?
I think Paisley is a great place. One of the things that I always say when I tell people anyone my story, if anyone bothers to hear, to be honest, I always make them understand that, listen, when you move to a place and you start setting up local institution or business, that is the beginning of you starting to stay in that place. So I've been here 7 years. So Jambo Radio just started a couple of months ago. So I've got another 15 years to go. So I'm here.
Yeah. George, we'll look forward to when this is all over. We'll all have a catch up in the town. We'll have a cup of coffee and we'll have a proper chat.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, listen,
look forward to that. Me and you can talk about football, and Andy and Helena can eat.
Oh yeah, we'll just
actually, I can do the team.
I'm actually cat sitting again.
It's cooling down. You get your
I didn't cook
cat
it.
there. The new addition to the family.
Can I just say, Andy, Paisley, the outlook of Paisley. When I used to live in Glasgow years and years ago, I'm saying, and I used to visit friends in Paisley. Since the bid to become, I think there's City of Culture or something like that.
Yeah.
a few years ago. I've seen the transformation, and the outlook of Paisley looks so progressive and very diverse as well, because evolving locally, especially most recently, and the effort that all communities have come together to try and fight and support each other is wonderful. I'm so glad that I came on your platform. I didn't expect anything like that when I was focusing to make Jumbo work, and Gary came out of the blue. So you might
Well, listen,
wonderful.
It's
We're
good to have you, George.
We're so thankful you've come on, George, and we'll be delighted to support you. And we wish Jambo all the very best as you go forward. So thanks, George. Helena, a pleasure as always.
Thank you so much.
for
Look
having
forward
me
to
on,
seeing you
guys.
again, George, and to be able to say Jambo in person.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, folks.
Thank you both.
Feel free to stick around in the black and white room if you want. But thanks once again. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, Gary, I got my dinner made for me. How good was that?
I don't know, Andy. It's you to get the dinner.
It is delicious, Gary.
I won't hold it against you. I had chicken tonight earlier.
Chicken tonight? Is that not a jar of stuff?
I feel like chicken tonight. I feel like chicken tonight. I feel like chicken tonight. But it looks like you're having chicken tonight. Anyway,
I'm having cashew chicken tonight, and it's great. How good was that? Our first ever cook along, Gary.
Aye, and we were wondering. I wonder if that will work, but it worked really well, Andy. It slotted in pretty well. Helena's a natural. She should have her own TV show.
Absolutely. Oh, she should have her own television channel broadcasting to the nation in Hell's Heavenly Kitchen. If anyone has cooked along tonight, or if you're watching this back and you're cooking along, take a picture of your dishes and post them up. We'd be delighted to see what they look like. And if you are keen to see more from Helena, it'd be good to know. We'll get her on in a few weeks' time, perhaps, for another cook along with Helena.
I mean, this show is now reaching places and shining a light on places that when we started this, Andy, we never thought we would go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so pleased that we've done this, Andy, and that people that are watching are having a good time and seeing different aspects of the community, and that's what it's about.
Absolutely. And there's a comment in from Angela. Angela, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for your wonderful comments this evening. But Angela, you're new to the show. We've not seen your name popping up before, but a great story there. You moved to Paisley years ago and love it. Lovely town with great architecture and history. So welcome, Angela. You're welcome to the town, and you're welcome to Paisley Community Chat Show as well.
Yeah, and that's another lesson for everyone.
What's that, Gary?
What's Swahili for hello?
Oh, well, we know that. How good was George and Jambo Radio?
Jambo, it's great. It's great. I was thinking earlier, why is it called Jambo? Why is it not called Jimbo?
Oh, in Scotland, Jimbo.
A Scottish thing. But now I know why it's called Jambo.
Jambo Radio, it's Swahili for hello. Is it
So
Swahili?
when we're walking, I learned a few African words when I was at Paisley Tech, Andy, because one of my best pals in the class was from Lesotho.
All right, okay.
Yeah, and he would always wind me up, and he would teach me some choice words. And
I hope they were clean, Gary.
He was a very Christian guy, and that's why he tried to take me under his wing, and failed miserably. Remember, we took Big Eric. His name was Eric Katang Larata. He was, unfortunately, he died a few years ago.
Oh dear.
To great sadness, but he was a great guy. We took him into Rascals one night and threatened to take him up to Toledo, and he was like, "Oh no!" He's away home. He stayed down in George Street. What a great guy!
Good guy. Wow.
Brilliant guy. I get invited to his wife. They were digressing again. I get invited to his wife's, I think, 21st or 25th party. They had a flat above the pub at the corner of Story Street, and I get invited, and it was such a privilege, but quite scary, because I was the only one that wasn't from Lesotho there.
And I'm sure you made some good friends that night, and a few more language lessons, Gary, which you can save for a post 9 p.m. Watershed show.
I was going to say, it was Eddie Devine there. It was Ferriers right up the top. The Ferriers, and I learned a few dances. The dancing was amazing that night.
Well, hey, listen, Gary, we'll need to get the tango folks on again and get yourself and some of those moves get going. But no, it was great to have George on the show tonight, and Helena as well. We've done a fantastic show as always, Gary. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I wanted to just reach back ever so slightly, Andy.
Oh yeah,
to go back to speak about Dom and Dominica and some of her artwork. I know that she does things because she has a natural inspiration to paint things, but sometimes she'll get commissions and people will ask her to do something. Yeah. And this one that I picked out earlier, Andy, was someone asked her to do a picture of Iniesta of Barcelona. And
that's
she doesn't
fantastic.
She doesn't do a male image too often. But that image struck me when I seen it when she released it. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, that's fantastic. She's got such a wonderful style. A lot of kind of bold blocks of colour and lots of sort of movement in there, Gary. That's fantastic. I don't know who the player is, but I would imagine it's a pretty good likeness, Gary.
Oh, it captures every moment of that man.
Yeah.
Iniesta is one of the best footballers in the world, and he plays with Barcelona almost all his career, I believe.
Yeah.
But there's no many men that she paints. Her painting is almost exclusively female, and she's all about female empowerment. And her story is inspiring, Andy, and it's paralleled by her talent and her painting.
Well, listen, Gary, I'm just a quick reminder from last week, because we had some of our fan art sent into the show last week, which is great.
Well, did you say that?
A wee reminder, Gary, there's myself and yourself.
Yeah, that was our T-shirt from last week, Andy. Man, that's inspiring as well.
It's great. I love that.
Isn't it? I think we should do. I said to, and yours fits you. Mine's just slightly big. As you know, I'll not. I mean, you can tell you like your food, Andy, even tonight.
Oh no, absolutely. I've got the rest of it here, Gary. I better get on with this show. So, Gary, I know it's a brilliant show tonight, but who have we got coming up next week? What's it all about, Gary?
Do you think I've got something in mind?
Have we got something in mind yet? Are we keeping it secret?
I don't know. I'm hoping it's going to be a comedy special.
A comedy special?
That would be funny. Oh.
Do you write these yourself, Gary?
I do my best. No, if we get it right, we've got a comedy special next week, and it will be funny. I guarantee it'll be funny. And another thing I'll guarantee, Andy.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
It'll overrun.
Oh, well, this one's overrun already, Gary. This one has overrun. So just before we do go, a quick reminder for everyone. We'll share the details, but we have the designer logo competition, which is out now. You can check it all out on paisleytrust.org. If you know some budding artists, budding designers, if you fancy a doodle yourself, please check out paisleytrust.org for all the competition details, and you can send your submissions into hello@paisleytrust.org. So we're looking forward. We've been getting some entries in together already, so looking forward.
Yes, indeed. Andy, I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone who's offering us their kind words and their support throughout the time we've been doing this. It hit home again to me today. I don't think I told you about this, Andy. I was walking along the road, going for a coffee, and someone I know just waved out his car, and I went, "Oh, hi Joe, how's it going?" He burrowed round in New Street.
Aye.
Stopped his car, got out, and says, "I can't wait to see your chat show tonight. I watch it every week."
Well, that was awful nice of him, Gary.
But it's just so nice, and everyone that's in here making their comments, Jackie, Councillor Devine, Claire, everyone that tunes in, it's a great sense of inspiration for us that we're actually speaking to people, and bringing what we bring, and people come and join us, and it is all about the town and the area and the guests. So much appreciated. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I was kind of thinking about the origins of this show, Gary. You know, we felt that during this very tough time for everybody in Paisley, and you know, let's be honest, this COVID issue hasn't gone away. There's an outbreak up in Aberdeen that has put that place back into lockdown again, and we're desperately trying to get back to some degree of normality. Our traders have taken a huge hit. People's livelihoods. We've got the school kids looking to go back to school. And we thought, well, actually, at the start of COVID, when everyone was in that tough position, we thought this might be a light break. We bring some people on, we show them some a spotlight, we shine a spotlight in some parts of Paisley, and hey, we'll see how long it works for. But we've had some brilliant guests on, and we've got great support on. It's brilliant. Actually, you know, the other thing that dawned on me as well, Gary, is that we used to clap for our NHS staff and for our frontline workers and for those that were shielding and for all the carers, and that kind of stopped after 10 weeks. But they're all still out there bursting their backside, Gary. You know, they're still all working, putting themselves in the front line, Gary.
You're no kidding. When I used to think seriously about the clapping, because I think I've got a view about that, and I think they work their backside off, and a clap is not what they need. They need properly supported. That brings politics into it, but it's not a big step in politics. Everybody should be thinking these people that are the front line, supporting people, helping people's lives, people-centric it should be, and we're indebted to these people. And as you said, Andy, we're not out of this. We're far from out of this. There's a sign that round about here that we're out of it, but we keep an eye on the numbers. Aberdeen's locked down. We've had the first blip in Renfrewshire. Yep. I know that in Renfrewshire it's been kind of no cases, 1 case, 6 now today. Now that you've got to keep an eye on this.
Absolutely, and you know, I think there's clear conditions out there. You know, and thankfully when you go out and about, you do see the vast majority, and I think it is the vast majority of people are sort of recognising what we need to do in order to keep everyone safe. You know, and it's that selfless act. You're doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for everybody else. You're doing it for folks' grannies and their grandas, their elderly, their other people who are in vulnerable groups. You're doing it for them, and you know, and hopefully the Paisley and Renfrewshire on a whole, we can all just pull together, get through this as best we can, and again, that whole message of supporting local, as and when we come back. Support your local traders. They need it. It's their livelihoods.
Absolutely, you know? Andy. Absolutely. I want to give a quick shout out, Andy, before we finish.
Go on, Gary.
There's Wallace on there.
Wallace,
supertastic DJ. 109 live shows he's done.
109.
Probably every one of them's had a bit of Ultravox and Mid-Jura in it. So it's well worth looking out for Wallace's show. 109 shows to the world. It's on Twitch somewhere. Wallace, if you're there, tell us what your show is. We'll put it on.
Post up the details, Wallace, and we can tune in. Twitch, that's what all the gamers are on, isn't it, Gary?
Wallace has definitely got a face for radio. That's why he's presenting that format.
I'm not going to say anything about him. I've never met the chap before, but I'm sure he's a lovely individual.
He's a great guy. He's a great Mid-Jura fan, and me and him bump into each other at gigs now and again. He's a great guy. I take it all back, Wallace, but well done for what you're doing.
Yeah, great. So listen, folks, we're going to wind up the show this evening. Thank you so much indeed for tuning in. We've got some details in. Isolation special every night, 6 days a week. So he obviously takes a day off. And if you post up, everybody will be able to see it, Wallace. That'd be great, where we can listen if it's Facebook or Twitch or Twitter or whatever you're broadcasting. But thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in. And hold on, there we go.
Hold on. Right, Wallace, there you go.
Twitch.
Fifth Dimension Disco.
I might just try and tune into that or do a catch up on that one, Gary. That sounds.
That's good. That's good. I've tuned in a couple of times. Really good.
Well, we've got that, and we've got Jambo Radio to catch up.
Is this the Wallace show?
I need to get Wallace on as a special guest.
Folks,
make sure you tune in next week. Fingers crossed, we've got a comedy special. But in the meantime, obviously, do stay safe, everyone. And I guess it's good night from me.
And I'm going to be a straight man in advance of the comedy show. It's good night from me too.
Oh, good night, folks.
Good night.